So good morning and welcome to another episode of Charged Up Studio, where small business owners get charged up for success. We are well into season 3. The kids are soon all going to be out of school, and summertime fun is just around the corner. As small business owners, it's difficult to find time to fit everything in without having to spend or depend on others to assist with helping us reach our goals. Unfortunately, finding the right people for the right roles can be very costly if the time is not spent on the front end to make sure who we team with fits the culture and the personality of our businesses and our sales team. So our guest today has extensive experience leading large teams, achieving diverse and complicated goals. She's a book author, a thought leader, and a public speaker. She is here with us today to introduce us to a unique personality profiling methodology for quickly gaining insight into those we meet and how to communicate effectively. So let's give a huge Charged Up Studio welcome to Susan Younger, relationship architect, as she presents the B.A.N.K code system. Welcome, Susan. Yes.
Thank you for letting me be with you today, Dana. It's always a joy to be with you.
No, we've known each other for many years.
Yes,
through
we
many
have.
different associations, programs. I've been familiar with the B.A.N.K code. I've wanted to bring this onto the program because I think it's easy. I've used it many times in the past.
It is, and I think that simplicity sometimes makes people think it can't be effective.
Right.
And instead, it's that simplicity that makes it so effective.
Right, exactly. So to kick things off and put my guests at ease, I like to ask a very obscure question to make you think. So are you ready?
Go for it.
All right. So what secret conspiracy would you like to start?
Ooh. I'm going to go with the ones that came from Douglas Adams years ago in The Hitchhiker's Guide, that it was the mice that control the earth, and they're the wise ones that got the dolphins going, and that they're smarter than all of us.
So it's the mice.
There are 2 little white mice that are smarter than the rest of us and had this whole thing for God to create earth and get us going millions and millions of years ago.
Oh my goodness. So we are born of mice.
We are born of mice. I happened to watch that movie for the first time in a long time, and my dog is even named after one of the characters from the book, and so I think that's a good place to start. Yes.
Oh, interesting. Wow. Okay. Well, that's interesting. I haven't heard that before. So this is really it's educational to me.
Yeah, and it's bound for silliness on a Friday. Yes.
Yes, exactly. And that's what we need on Fridays. So you're a diver, right?
No, I'm not a diver. I float well.
I thought what you sent over to me said that you were a diver.
Gosh, what did I send? No,
you said as a diver, how did you get started working with personality?
Oh my gosh, that's one of those things where as you're writing something, a word changes. So it's that diverse background of craziness, doing architecture, retail, body work in there, and consulting, writing, speaking. So people are like, how the heck did you end up with B.A.N.K? What about that diver? Gosh, I obviously didn't proofread that as well as I thought I did. Or, you think the words are all in there and you're going,
Okay. So how did you get started working with personality science and B.A.N.K?
I heard Sherry Tree, the creator, speak at a conference. And this is one of those things where, we all go to conferences because we need that personal development. We want to get new things into our processes and into our mindsets that help us to move things forward. And I literally went to this conference in 2015 and said, listen, I'm letting all my friends know I'm not buying anything this time. I'm just going to go and listen. And Sherry happened to be the first speaker. And I'm like going, holy crap, this woman has taken what I have done intuitively and put it into a process that I could actually share with business owners and corporations. It's the stuff I did. And people would say, how come you can deal with all these different people? In retail, from the construction workers to the people that were doing the visual display, to the buyers, to the whole C-suite, I didn't have any trouble being comfortable in those environments that were very, very different. And
Right.
people are like, how do you do it? And I'm like, I don't know how you don't. To me, it was all about the relationship I built with them by honoring who they were.
Right.
And all of a sudden, with these 4 cards and the simplicity of 12 words on each of them, she was creating a language system to do that.
Right.
And I sat in the back of the room that day thinking I was not going to do anything. And I think I've just found what I'll be doing the rest of my life. and one of my friends who I only see at this conference walked behind me and she leaned down and she says, this has your name written all over it. And I said, geez, like I needed to
Thank
be
you. That's
over
all
the
I
head.
needed for you. No, it's funny that you say that because my husband and I have been to many of those conferences and spent thousands upon thousands of dollars, and it's just gotten to the point now where we leave the checkbook, we leave the credit cards, we leave everything at home.
Yeah.
So we can't be tempted to buy into this stuff, but there are good programs out there and Bank Code is one of them. In fact, my husband bought into Bank Code. So, and I carry those 4 cards around with me. So with that being said, explain to our audience, what is Bank and how does it work?
Bank is a simple process where you look at the 4 cards, you read the words on each card, you order them in the one that is most like you to least like you in a simple process. So whether you're doing it live with the cards, on the web page where it's a drop and drag them into order, plug in your name. And on the online version, when you do that, you get to submit your name and an email address, and we send you a report about you that says, this is how you approach making a decision. This is how you get to a yes for yourself. What it also does to me as a subscriber is give me a report that says, if I'm talking to Dana, these are the key points you want to understand about her process to get her to a yes. So it was started as a sales process, but immediately what I heard in it was a relationship building process.
Right.
And
you're absolutely right. Yeah.
And from that, years ago, which started out as a sharing and beginning to be a training corporation, now it is a company that has transformed into a tech company called Codebreaker Technologies. And they have artificial intelligence and training and coaching programs that we can help others to maximize what they're doing with these simple informational packages and that. So I love getting out to share that and help different organizations put it into play in whatever aspect of their business is required. Yeah.
Like I said, I carry those cards around with me, all the time. And when I meet someone new, one of the most exciting parts of our conversation revolves around, the bank cards, because they're for them to be engaged and putting those cards in order, it creates how can I say, a sense of camaraderie.
Yes.
Camaraderie.
And absolutely. And in fact, so many people, because you and I have been involved in business for years, have done DISC, Myers-Briggs, perspective,
Yeah.
yes, I can't even say, PI,
Yeah.
whatever that one is.
Yeah.
Strength finders, there's multitudes of ones that people will see these 4 colors and go, oh, I've done that one with colors. And I'm like going, you may have done one with colors. It's probably not this one. And what you start to realize is a lot of those based in psychology are really going to a deeper level of looking at you from the inside out and not about your decision-making process.
Right.
Where this is about your decision-making process. And when you layer this on top of those other things, you get a fresh insight and you get it quickly. And what I also love is because these are simple terms that people, when it was created, was a self-identified, created in a reverse engineered process. It wasn't somebody telling you this is what you were. She created this with people telling them this is who I am. And by doing that, it really started by people being able to self-identify who they were.
Right.
When you start to look at this as those four key personalities still exist within all of us. And if you look here on Zoom behind my name, I always tell people who I am with the nurturing, action, knowledge, and blueprint keyed in by the initials of the first letter of each of those words. So if somebody understands B.A.N.K, they start to know who I am at my core. What I love about our understanding of B.A.N.K is that it is more fluid, that we frequently under stress will move into a code that isn't our primary,
Right.
but our second and third code will influence how that first code is showing up. Or we may drop completely into that second or third one, because in that moment, it's more important for us to understand it from that perspective. So we say we dance with the codes in conversation.
Yeah,
And
no, definitely.
when we're doing that, what's great about us dancing with the code is you quit trying to make somebody else the exact image of what you first met them as. And you address them in what mode they're in that moment. It's not about putting them in a box and saying, you stay there. That's the only way I know you. And I love being able to do that more fluid conversation.
So with that being said, let's talk about the 4 cards, the 4 main personality types, okay? And let's go through them. We don't have it visually that we can see, okay?
No.
But let's go ahead. Yeah.
I'll just hold up and say the blueprint is on a blue card. So blue tends to be a cooler color. These are people who really are into minimizing risk, following process, being able to have that checklist. They're looking for stability. They're looking for things to be dependable. These are the people that show up half an hour before a meeting or appointment. They are the ones who are they're ready to go. They've got their checklist. Everything is in order. If you look at their desk, it is completely managed, and the pencils are all in the same direction. They're in the same thing. These are people who really closely live in a box most of the time.
Oh,
some are, some really are. But here's the thing, these are the people who can track the stuff. They've got a calendar. They know exactly what needs to be done. And you and I have been in a process here lately of going through things on how to set up a challenge. And man, that process that he has is so blueprint in nature. And for those of us who don't lead with that, like myself, with that being last, having somebody else create that structure for me to be able to follow is priceless. So instead of looking at them as like you're dragging me down because you've done all of this, go, thank you. I'm grateful that you've put together those step-by-steps that I don't necessarily do. Then there's the action. And man, we all know that action A style, red carpet, on fire, ready to go. These are the people who, when the party is going, they show up late, but that's when they go, hey, the party's finally starting because I'm here. These are the ones who are in front of the room and are the movers and shakers and millionaire makers, because they are all about the bottom line. They are all about having fun, having a good time. And these are the people who want to be introduced to the other A-list. They will ask you, who else that's cool has done this? Who else that's important is using this? How do I get results quickly? And they can be at times the worst enemy of the blueprint and the most attracted to the blueprint. You know, it's that opposites attract and then they attack.
Yeah.
So we start to see a lot of in relationships where those two are really wonderful together at first, then recognize that there are challenges in why they were attracted to that and why they need to really be respectful of those different.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you know, as a strategist, I kind of fall within the blueprint to a degree because I'm a sequencer, but at the same time, I'm also an action taker, you know.
Right.
So, you know, and you're going to get into more of this as we move on. So let's continue.
And here's the thing, sometimes I've known people who are blueprint first with action right behind it. And a lot of people think they are action because they show that strength so well. You know, they show that make it happen with their process. That's where the beauty of how these things come together is so important. Then we've got
the problem is if you take action without considering the repercussions, and that's where the blueprint comes in.
Yes, they are going to, you know, you can't show up late for an appointment with a blueprint. In fact, Sherry always tells the story that one of her first really big lessons was having an appointment to sign a contract with a gentleman, and she didn't pay attention. She was running late. She slid into the chair 10 minutes late and is like, hey, great to be here, ready to slide the paper in front of him. And he puts up his hand and says, Sherry, you're 10 minutes late. You have really disrespected my time. If you're disrespecting my time now before I've even signed a contract, imagine how I think you're going to disrespect it once I've signed it. I can't trust you to do business with you. I'm no longer interested in signing this contract and moving forward. And she was just shocked because to her, it was like 10 minutes. What's 10 minutes? To him, it was a true indicator of her not respecting him. And there are times that a blueprint won't tell you that. They will just all of a sudden say no. So, but that nurturer is, on the other hand, the one who will like chase you, take care of you, even when you've told them no. You know, these are the people who are all about the hug, the heart of gold. They are all about building the community, having tribe around them. And if they don't feel like they're connected to you, they really feel like you have disapproved of them. If you don't look them straight in the eye, if you don't, you know, approach them in a loving kind of hugging attitude, they can easily have their feelings hurt.
Right.
They are all about that authentic relationship, that developing trust, that trusted, let me bring you in so that you can meet everybody that I'm working with, building a strong community.
Right.
They are about ethics. They are about all the things that bring a group together. And frequently they can have incredible connections that you don't even know about, because their trusted relationship with somebody is not something that an action will tell you they know all these great people. Nurturing will respect that separation of how they know that person from how you might want to know that person. And sometimes the best thing you can do to a nurturing person is say, I'm looking to be introduced to people in an industry or a specific business, only to find out it's their next door neighbor, it's their best friend, it's somebody in their family, but they'd never tell you that.
Right.
You know, but they'd be happy to introduce you once they know that's somebody you're interested in knowing.
Interesting. Yeah. So the last card.
The last one, the knowledge. Man, these are the guys we sometimes say are green with envy, because that action person is standing on stage shouting out about how successful this new program is that's been developed, this new product that's been developed. This is the person who created that. This is the one who from A to Z can put that whole technology research development together. They've done all the learning and really into being an expert in something, but they tend to be the person who is not looking for the spotlight. But they become very much jaded about the fact that somebody else takes credit for what they've done.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
we really frequently find that these are the people who are disgruntled because they haven't been given the credit for what they've done. And when you can empower them to feel that they are seen for what they contribute, they shine and they create even more success for your business and what relationship they bring to it. So when you think about it, you really want somebody of all four of these categories interrelated together because each one of them has a different set of strengths. And when you know that you each have some portion of that within you, you can bring that forward when you need to integrate and relate to others on conversations that maybe not be of great value and importance to you, but understanding the value and importance of it to them, all of a sudden makes them feel seen, heard, and respected in a way that helps them to step into the position of working with you or producing what you need produced to make your whole project or team or in a relationship come together in a powerful way.
Yes, no, definitely. Well, we did talk a little bit earlier about the fact that, I cross over on some of these cards. So,
Yeah.
People can be more than one personality type.
We
You can be
are
all
all four. We may be very high in one and very low in one and have two in the middle that are fairly even, or we may have three of them that are clustered together, or one that's outstanding and three are low. It's really a gradated scale. So I frequently say there may only be 24 combinations, but there's infinite possibilities.
Right.
And that's what makes each of us still a unique being in how we use it. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. So how are you sure that B.A.N.K works?
In 2016, San Francisco State University did a white paper where they took an ad that had been developed by Mercedes-Benz and they rewrote the script for that ad, directing it towards specific codes. So they did one as a blueprint, one as an action, one as a nurture and a knowledge. They then had individuals crack their code and then read all four of them and self-identify which one was most attractive to them. And they literally proved at that point, they said, this is not like anything else. It is truly unique and it truly does identify. And they were able to look at it and say, here are the key points that triggered the blueprint. The blueprint's about price. They're about the stability, the minimal risk. They really were able to see those pieces in the ad that spoke to those specific codes. And with that, put out a white paper that identified how it's working. And since then, they've done additional ones on direct sales and real estate. So we've got a few of them out there that are really starting to look at it from different silos of industries, as well as just the overall viewpoint. So, yeah.
Where can the audience see some of these white papers or get some of these white papers?
They're mostly available from the corporate webpage or from people like me who are licensed resellers and trainers and coaches working with the product.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to reach out to me, I can certainly help direct them.
Okay. All right. Yeah. We'll be getting that information at the end. So
yeah.
So we talked, or you mentioned earlier, about the artificial intelligence and code breaker and AI. How does that work?
What's interesting is in 2019, they launched the artificial intelligence. And they actually brought in some scientists that work with languaging and neuro-linguistic languaging as well to take what we were seeing from the reports and work it into an artificial intelligence where we have two ways that we can, well, we have multiple ways we can work with it, but it's a framework that you can drop in any written text, spoken text to it, and then click the button on the page, and it will tell you the percentage mix of the 4 codes. It will then give you the option to write a response and see if you can match the first 2. At this point, it started out in 2019, it matched the first code. We've now got it with enough feedback from what's been put in there that it's matching the top 2. And then additionally, in 2020, they created a button through a Chrome extension that on LinkedIn, if I'm looking at somebody's profile, I can hit that button and it will tell me what their profile is written in. It drops it into the AI, and literally before I actually talk to somebody, I can see what their profile is written in. And if they've sent me a message, I can compare to see if the message comes in the same as the profile. What's interesting about that is many times a lot of us didn't write our own profile. It was either done in a company about the people, or they hired somebody to write it for them because, you know, not all of us have the fabulous wizardry of crafting a written document that we feel shines the best light for ourselves. So a lot of times they'll hire that out, and you don't know sometimes if it reflects more the author that wrote about that person or the actual person. And for some of my clients, I can tell you they wrote it more to the profile of what they hoped their client would be. And so when we coded one of them who does a lot of recruiting for fractional CEOs and other C-suite members, he is an action first. But his profile, because he dealt for years with staffing agencies and different HR people, is written more to a blueprint before it is to an action. And he goes, well, yeah, it says I wrote it to my clients. And
that's
so
fascinating. That's fascinating, you know, because as I write my blogs, I can put it through the bank process and find out if I'm targeting the people that I want to target. So how, you know, is that an application you just download, or what? How do you do this?
It's a monthly subscription that we offer. So we have several layers of the subscription where you can have the full depth of all the training on the back end in a virtual vault, as we call it, or just the subscription to the AI and the code cracking. And those are something that, you know, I can work with people if they'd like a subscription on how that works. I've got people who can't imagine not having that AI subscription because they put everything they write through that. They put everything they receive through that. And it really helps them to identify, am I talking to who I think I'm talking to in the way I want to talk to them? Or, you know, did I write it more based on how I'm feeling at this moment? The other fun piece that's out there is a company that works with Zoom has created a way for us to track in Zoom. Let's say if this was being recorded on my Zoom link, I would later today get a report that says Dana spoke in this code and you spoke in this code. So I can tell if I spoke in a code that I thought I was matching somebody else's, or was I pushing more from a different code than I anticipated. So last week I was reviewing with one of my other coaches, and she was asking questions about things that she wasn't as technically connected to as I am. So she was in a very action, I need to get this done, I need to learn this quickly. So her presentation of questions to me was coming as action. My answers to her were coming as blueprint step by step. But what I could look and see is even though her questions were coming as action, the relationship of how close those were on that chart did not make me feel uncomfortable about the fact that I had enough action in behind the blueprint to still be comfortable for her to hear,
Right.
if that
Right.
makes sense.
No, that's fascinating. I can see where that would really come in handy with those of us that are, in the uh, industry of sales and marketing and prospecting and things like that. But
Yeah.
not only that, digital marketing.
Exactly.
Digital marketing, and there's so much traffic out there. And now what's happening is we're all developing our communities. And how do we make sure that the people we're attracting to our communities are the ones that we want, those kind of things.
Well,
So,
and beyond that, maybe are you missing a segment of the market because you are directing yourself to specific ones and leaving out others? And that you maybe don't need to overload it with the other codes that aren't as
right,
intrinsically part of what you're doing, but that by putting enough of it in there that you're not going to miss somebody that is stronger in that code because they don't feel that anything has been addressed that takes care of their values.
no,
And
definitely.
that's what I love about it, is you can get something more balanced and get enough balance in there that you eliminate the risk for the blueprint. You showed the opportunity and excitement for the action. You engage the community and make the nurture feel that they are going to be accepted and part of it. And you acknowledge this brilliance that the knowledge brings to the table. And when you've done that for each of them, it doesn't have to be huge, but they all still feel heard. And that's important
Right.
for everyone. Yeah.
Right. So, we're coming up on the end of another episode of Charged Up Studio, and I really appreciate you spending time with us today. So, how can people work with you and learn more about the B.A.N.K code and the Codebreaker AI?
If they want to reach out to me directly, it's susan@skyounger.com. I'll be happy to set up a one-on-one with them. I don't know if you want my link for code cracking. I can put that. It's always difficult when you just say it. If you want it for in the show notes, I'll be happy to send you that and make sure that they've got my access code so that when their report comes in, I know they cracked their code and I can help to follow up with any questions they had. So I did that, let's say Wednesday when I spoke to a group. When they cracked their code, that gave me their emails and phone numbers. I can follow up and answer any questions for them about what they got in their report. And it's that kind of being able to give them personal attention that is, easy enough to do.
No, definitely. And any last tips you want to give our audience?
To me, it is that really becoming a better listener to what somebody else is saying and looking for, and less about trying to share with them what you're excited about and more about finding out what they're excited about.
Exactly.
Because when you find out what is important to them, you can get to know them so much faster. And whether you're looking for a personal relationship or a business relationship or a service to be provided to you in the moment, you really do so much better when you are addressing them in a way that is honoring who they are and how they show up. Yeah.
Right. No, definitely. I would love to get you back again, possibly with one of our free informational webinars where you can demonstrate.
Oh, I'd be happy
the
to.
B.A.N.K code and things like that.
Yeah.
Yes, no, definitely. We'll work out a schedule and we'll get it up so that on Charged Up Studios website so that they can see what's coming down the pike, or on Market Academy's website. All right.
We'll be happy to do that with you. And excuse I didn't think this boy would show up, but hello.
Well, that's all, folks. And I really hope that this session has given you some insight and some ideas for engaging into your small business. If you have expressed interest in a topic you would like us to cover during our sessions, simply go to the Charged Up Studio website at chargedupstudio.live and reach out via the contact page. We invite you to subscribe to Charged Up Studio through our YouTube channel, Google, and any of the many streaming platforms available, and leave us a review. We also have a Facebook page where you can provide a review, and make sure to refer our podcast to all of your friends and colleagues. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you once again, Susan. And we'll be back again next week with another exciting guest to help you get charged up for success. That's
Thanks,
it.
Anna.
You're welcome.